Hello everyone, welcome back to Cross/Game, EV here, with another short video, a review of sorts I guess, a very late review, on Returnal. So just a few days ago I put a 6-minute video out there around telling people you have to play Returnal, because just kind of putting it out there that I think it's important that this game gets experienced by as many people as possible. Just for the sheer quality that Returnal really is. And today I just thought I'd put out another kind of short video, almost like a unscripted review, which I think all my videos are pretty much unscripted. Returnal, after finishing the main story so far, is one of my top 10 games, okay? And I don't say that lightly because, and I mean one of my top 10 games of all time. I don't think I've been this, I don't know if addicted is the wrong word, but invested into a video game for a long time. There are games that you play and they're fun and you go through the motions, but this game has been masterfully sort of tweaked to make you want to really live in this world. And trust me, it's not a very nice world to live in, but you can't help but, for me as I play, I can't help but feel connected almost to the character and the world around it, and I think that's really a testament to the devs on this one. Really, they've done a great job at bringing this sort of all these elements together, and I think it's really hard. It's such a really hard thing to do. But we'll kind of try and structure it a little bit. So Returnal is what they call, I guess, is more in line with a rogue sort of type of gameplay, where you're just running around maps and hordes of enemies are coming towards you. Lots of things are happening on screen, and you have to be quick on the triggers, dodge around, and try your best to survive through each map area or each little stage, because every time you enter, you go through a doorway, you just don't know what's going to be on the other side. And I say this literally because the maps are generated automatically, so it's never the same. You might be in the same area, but when you enter a door, or if you restart the area again, the map completely changes and everything is randomized again, so you just don't know what you're going to get when you go through the first doorway and the second and the third and so on and so forth, which keeps it fresh. It's never, you can never really predict what's gonna happen, and I think that's, first of all, key. It's probably not the first time that it's happened before that that games have done this, but Returnal for me is one of the first experiences I've had with kind of a rogue style gameplay. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I did most of the game pretty much solo, so as you saw, there was an online just now area where you can literally recruit another player to help you, and vice versa. So there is an online co-op, which is great. Kind of facilitates things a little bit, getting through some of the stages and making sure you kind of survive, because this game is tough. It's a tough game, but okay. So that's the type of game that it is. It's kind of a rogue game, and you go around shooting and surviving, and that's kind of like the core style of gameplay. The next stage literally will be sort of around how it looks. I guess it's a beautifully rendered world. It's very atmospheric. It kind of has a lot of influence from Alien, and a bit of H.I. Geiger or Giger, whoever you say it, sort of character design, especially around the enemies. A bit of Lovecraftian sort of horror in there as well. All the sort of tentacles and all that, and it's mostly a bleak, very darkish game, as you can see on screen right now. But the beauty of it, there's no other characters, pretty much. It's just you and Celine, and it's kind of like her, I wouldn't say story, but it is kind of like her experience through this world. And I guess we'll just touch a little bit on the story, but I'm not going to spoil anything, because I think this is something you need to kind of experience for yourself. There's just a lot to it, but it's designed in a Dark Souls way, I guess, like or Bloodborne way. It's action, 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 but the story is kind of breadcrumbed almost for you. So you kind of get these logs, and you hear these logs, and it's of Celine, and she kind of piece together what's happened and what she's thinking when she's recording these logs and so on. So you get to piece a bit of the past, and sort of get a sense of what the story is, what's going on here. And I think that's the beauty of it, because they've married it really well, where you can literally so between the action-packed sort of adventure that it is, they've managed to incorporate all these story elements in there very carefully, I think, and almost very randomly, because you don't get the logs in sequence. They're all scattered all over the place, and so you only get a sense of what's happened much later into the game. I'd say for like about 70-80% of the game, you're kind of lost in terms of what's happened, what's going on, who is this girl, and what's her past, and where is she, I guess. So I think that's kind of like one of the beautiful aspects of Returnal, is that the story is designed, is your reward. That's how I would say, it's how I put it in my last video. The story is your reward for going through all the trials that Celine's going through. It's kind of breadcrumbed across for you, so you never really get like a big exposition dump. You never like get like a whole massive cutscene of just, here, take all of this information, and it's never like that. It's literally piece by piece. You find it as you go through this craziness that you've seen on screen so far, and you learn with Celine, because for all intents and purposes, it's her first time going through this as well. So in case clues in the title, but Returnal has a sort of time travel element, ish. So every time she dies, the game, pretty much you start all over again, with almost everything you've collected just disappears from your inventory, apart from certain permanent buffs in or items, or key items, let's put it that way. They stay for some reason, but everything else gets lost and you start from zero again. So the build that you've built through the levels, and you've managed to have done such a great job to survive up to whatever point you end up dying, that all disappears. So all the weapons, you can only carry one weapon at a time anyway. It all goes, and you're kind of just, you have to start all over again. Whilst that feels very counter in a way, very annoying, it's kind of one of the best things about the game, is because whilst your character in the game has nothing, you level up as a player. You level up through your knowledge from the story, your knowledge of the level, your knowledge of the weapons, your knowledge of the items, your knowledge of how this whole world connects to one another, and I think it's a weird experience, but the game is only as hard as your confidence level around the game itself. So as you play more, of course you get better. It's just like anything else, with practice makes perfect. Get good, and I think Returnal is amazing because it is hard, but at the same time it really isn't, because by the time you get your head around how the weapons work, which weapon does what, obviously it's random if you're going to get your favourite weapon. It might take a while until you get that weapon back with the right characteristics or right sort of stats, because stats are unlocked in each weapon. They unlock it the more you use them. So it might be some time until you get a sort of build close to the one you had when you died. But bearing in mind that the one you had when you died was all pure luck anyway, you're never really going to have the same build unless you've probably... I think you might have to play this game, run through the levels about 100-200 times to get that similar, to get anything exactly to happen the same way. I do wonder. I think it's impossible almost to get the same experience for every time you die. It just won't happen. So it keeps it fresh. You gain confidence. The more you die, you get more and more confident. And I get it. It will feel a bit frustrating. I had once or twice. I was like, oh my god, I went so far and I died on a boss, and now I have to do it all over again. And it's like, but then my second time around was so much quicker. I got to that boss again really quick, less items, less a weaker build almost, and then I beat the boss. So you kind of surprise yourself because all of a sudden you now understand what the pitfalls are, where to go, what to do, how to dodge certain attacks. So again, like I say, subconsciously you level up, and I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I think the devs have made this game feel very organic for the player when they play, and it's such a beautiful experience. I think the way they've done it, whether intentionally or not, I want to say it's intentionally because I think it's such an impressive feat. You progress through this game, and by the end you might have nothing, just a bare gun, but you feel like a superhero because you are on it. It's not a game that I would suggest you just pick up and then drop for a year and then come back, because you may as well just start all over again, because that experience I think has to be just organically evolving simultaneously as you play. So you can't leave it for too long, otherwise you're just going to lose your practice, you're going to lose your awareness of how things work in a game and how the levels work, and you're just going to be like, oh, okay, I may as well start again. I don't even remember what I knew or didn't know about the story, because there's no specific major cutscenes for your memory to latch on and go, oh yeah, that's what happened. That doesn't, like RPGs have cutscenes, you go, okay, I remember where I was in the story, and even then you kind of forget. So yeah, as per my last video, play Returnal, just play it. It's crazy. You can probably tell on the screen. It's just, things are just mental. And this is not even the craziest. It can get a lot crazier than this. It can stuff everywhere. So we've covered a bit of the story, covered the mechanics, we covered the levels, a bit of the gameplay, and overall, I think one of the key things about Returnal, apart from everything I just described, which makes the game amazing, but the one key thing, and I think this is a testament to the developers as well when working with Sony, but the haptic feedback on the controller is insanely good. Like, I don't know how it bloody works, what's in those controllers, but the feedback is insanely cool. It's very immersive when you're playing because you feel the drops of the rain, and it feels very weird, almost very surreal. Each squeeze of the trigger, the way each gun fires, when you dash, you just feel all these things. When you get hit differently, you just feel everything is different. Everything feels different. So that's one thing. But the one key thing that I think kept me really stuck to this game is the sound design. Now, what you're seeing is insane. Like, when you're the way they've done the 3D audio for the PlayStation 5, and I don't know, it probably works exactly the same for the PC. When you have your headphones on, now this is a bit of a eerie, scary game. So, and I'm not one for horrors, but I wouldn't consider this to be a horror because there isn't really jump scares or anything like that. But it's a very, the sound keeps you on your toes. You're constantly uncomfortable. You never feel like you're safe. And I think that's obviously the environment, again, being a bit Lovecraftian and stuff, it kind of keeps you on edge. And I think the soundtrack, the music it just does that. It does it perfectly. And I think whilst I was always on edge, that feeling, and maybe that's what horror fans feel when they play horror games, the feeling of always, it's like an addictive feeling almost. And I'm not a big horror fan. I think even for movies or anything like that, I don't care for jump scares or cheap scares. It's just I find that silly. I like horror with context. I like it like when it makes you maybe feel a bit queasy or a bit weird, or not even gore doesn't influence me in any way. What influences me, or what I think is a good horror, is when the story, they use horror elements to increase a story to its maximum potential, and I think whilst this isn't a horror game, it does have a lot of horror elements, but it only makes the game 100 times better. And one of the things that it does really well, using sound, which I think is a big important thing for horror in general, whether movie or not, sound is one of the things that just dictates how you're going to feel. And I can tell you right now, there was some stuff that I could hear whilst playing this game that did make me feel like what's lurking around the corner, but in a good way. It was in a good way because I had my gun, I was ready. So anyway, long story short, this is a 10 out of 10 game. Really sad that there wasn't enough PlayStation 5s at the time, because I had one initially at launch, or not too long after, and I knew of the existence of Returnal, but to me it didn't get advertised enough. It didn't really get the limelight it needed. So I would honestly suggest anyone who has a PS5 or a PC now, because I think it's out on PC, get it. Just get this game, add it to your collection, and as soon as you find yourself, it might not be the type of game you usually play, okay? But if you love video games the same way as I do, then you owe it to yourself to experience something different, something unique. And I know there's other rogue games out there. I get Hades exists, and there's maybe better games, but when you get to the end of this game, it's a game, shall I say, that just keeps on giving. And like I say, I've finished the story and I'm still playing it. There's a little bit more to unpack. There's extra DLC which I think has story as well, so I'm going to go through that next. I'm going to get my platinum at some point. I think it's going to take me a while, but I'm going to get it. But I often just find myself at work sometimes, and I'm just thinking about the story and the questions that I have, and what else is there to discover, and what is my version of what I've experienced. And I think that is the genius of Returnal, is every player will have their own interpretation of what they're experiencing. So please guys, let me know in the comments below, have you played it? If you have, leave it. I'm going to do a next video about the story, so I'll have major spoilers, so we'll talk about that in the next video. But if you're watching this video, please subscribe to my channel, because the next video is coming out, and I want to keep this Returnal alive. For some reason it feels like it's still alive, and I want to help keep the momentum going and keep this game going in the experience of playing this game. I just wanted to keep on going. I never want it to end. I want to keep talking about this game. I want to find like-minded people that are interested in Returnal, and I want to talk about what you think is happening here. And yeah, it's awesome. So you can probably tell my excitement. Yeah, subscribe, like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Send me messages if you want to private chat. Let me know. I think we can arrange. I need another way of communication, I think, for people that enjoy talking about things like video games or specifics or story elements, whatnot. But just get in contact and let's chat. Let's get it going. Yeah, look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. For now, I'll see you next time, and yeah, 10 out of 10 game. Loved it. See you guys soon. Take care now.